The Hebrew text in the Bible has hidden formats. By revealing these formats, I will prove the first writer's words were hidden from you. These formats look like poetry as I group them into small paragraphs. Their grouping will become known as a psalm, and together they become psalms. Let me show you our Creator's 12 commandments, listed in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Any father of a family or his wife who did not obey any one of these 12 commandments, our Creator demanded they bring him a sin offering. Thus, our Creator defined the word sin as not obeying any one of these 12 commandments. Next, I want to show you how I changed one word in Exodus 26, verse 26, the word bars to arches, and the words now reveal the style of the roof for our Creator's tent for meeting with Him. Let me show you the translator's words from the preface of the 1611 King James Bible. They gave 4 reasons for themselves or others to edit the Bible's words. The red arrow at the top points to their 3rd reason to edit the text. By the light and feeling we attained unto ourselves. The next red arrow down points to them giving the title, the Divine, to a clerk named Gregory. The next block of words, they point out they were happy that the first emperor of Rome established the year to the course of the sun. Behind this text means Nebuchadnezzar ordered his kingdom to follow our Creator's calendar when he stopped eating grass. Did you notice the letter S in sun is capitalized? This is to give respect to the Egyptian sun god Ra. Have you seen the Egyptian obelisk in the Vatican's front yard? The last arrow points to your reward for studying the Bible. Your reward is to have a fellowship with the saints and participation of a heavenly nature that will never fade away. There is no such thing as nature to a truthful Christian. Our Creator created everything. By their own words, they were not seeking to know our Creator or Jesus. Not everyone has the knowledge to correct every word. I have an old Bible program that has the New American Standard Bible 1977 concordance to help find a better word. Their concordance has the number of times they use that English word in a parenthesis for that Hebrew word. The translators removed his name, YHVH, to put in 2 titles, Lord and God. I replaced those titles using the letters Y and V as his name, for the Hebrew language does not have a J, O, or W. By using these 2 letters, I am closer to the truth than anyone using J, O, or W for his name. So why is there a single letter O in the Hebrew text 1,095 times? No proper English was used? The blue highlighted text is text that I am removing. The red highlighted words are little words that I'm adding. Gray italic words are words that I added. To respect and honor our Creator, all capital letters in purple are our Creator's words. This is Jesus' prophecy, for I am revealing the first writer's words to tell you the true truths about Jesus. As the text is revealed, you can taste the writer's style of wording. Their words will take your belief to trusting our Creator. You will be watching prophecy before your eyes as I edit true truths back into their psalms. All right, this is going to continue with Micah. And what you see here is what I found, and this is all I found in chapter 1 of Micah. But we're talking about the days of Azar, and this message was from a prophet, Micah, and to Samara, which is the capital city. I went over that in the last video, extremely long and more detailed than I usually do. But the king for Azar, okay? Now he's a Judean king, or what I would call a Judas king. Let me show you here. These are the kings for Judah, and these are the kings for Israel. And this is the king that I'm saying is the time that the text is from. And he's referring it to over here to these kings, or the coming kings, because we don't know how soon. So it would have been in these years here to be noted to them. that Babylon is coming, okay? But the text here that we have that started doesn't have Babylon, okay, coming down, or Assyria, I'm sorry, Assyria coming down. So it's like one of the first warnings. But will that be true with the rest of the text in Micah? I never know about these because the stories they just took from all over the place to make up whatever they wanted to say about whatever they wanted to say. So, now this sounds like it's coming as a prophecy here, like as if our Creator had said that. And I don't think that's what happened here. See, what happened at the very end of this text that I could find, this text does not talk about anything truthfully about what our Creator would be saying. So, I also noted that if there's a story here in the last video, there's not enough there to put together. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is just say, to those who scheme iniquity, who work out evil on their beds, when the morning comes, they will do it, for it is in their power of their hands. This is not true. Let's see, they convert, and I'm looking for formats, okay? Those who scheme iniquity. I should have started dividing this as I go. And work out evilness in their bed. So it means they didn't communicate with anybody except for when they were in their own bed, okay? When the morning comes, they do it, for it is in their power of their hands, okay? So whatever that means, it doesn't mean that our Creator would be saying these things or being words from the prophet either. They covet fields, and they seize them, and the house they take them, and their house and houses, and the houses, and take them away. What are they taking away here? There's not enough description of what's being said here. They covet fields, then they seize them, and houses, and take them away. How can you take them away if they're seizing them? I could correct this text, but there's not, I don't feel there's anything here being said that's truthful. We know when evil in this is taking place. They rob a male, and his house, and a man and his inheritance. Notice the misuse of the word man. Our Creator defines the word man as male and female. So this doesn't make sense. Therefore, thus says YV. Okay, now we're going to say, but see, this is not how our Creator talks, or how I guess a vision or our Creator talks to him happens. They don't go through and say these things. These are our Creator sends messages as warning, and prophecies are what's going to happen in the years to come, not what's going on now. If it's a prophecy, it's because he'll tell them, because you're doing this and not turning from this, act the way you are, then I'm going to send you away or cast you out from the land. I am planning, behold, thus says YV. That's what happens when you put in his name. You see, they would have had the Lord. Thus says YV, I am planning against this family calamity from which cannot be removed, from which you, they don't need the word which, you cannot remove from your necks, and you will not walk haughtily, for it will be an evil time. Now, our Creator is saying, if he's saying this, remember, I've already got text up here that he's already said this, that he's warning that he's going to cast them out. And what is the evilness that we're talking about? It's about these high places, the places they made to mount their idols or false god idols. And then he's going to make Samaria, which is the capital city for Israel. Let me show you that map to make sure you understand what's going on here. Samaria is right here in Israel. So I guess if I make it like 150%, it gets a little closer. You can get to see that this river comes up on the other side. And I talked about why Samaria is here and not on your other maps. Very detailed explaining right off in the beginning of the last video. Okay. So we already know that it's going to be smashing her idols and burned with fire and make you desolate. So it's going to be, he's already telling them that everyone's going to be gone from the land. So this is just like it's repeating what he's saying, but he's already given them the warning. On that day, see, it's not even true. It can't be. On that day, they will take up against you a taunt and utter a bitter lamentation. Say we are completely destroyed. He exchanged the portion. How he removes it from me to the apostate, and apportions our field. Therefore you will have no one stretching a measure line for you by lot in the assembly of YV. Now, the assembly, the word has to be tied to the statute of one coming down to celebrate the Passover. And that's when they assembled by their tribes together, and they would have been encamped all the way around Jerusalem that way. So this means that they're going to be missing from this because there's no more people on the land. I guess that could be the meaning of that. Do not speak out. So they speak out. But if they do not speak out concerning these things, reproach will not be turned back. Reproaches will not be turned back. It is the beginning. It is being said, the tribes from Israel is the spirit of YV, and patient are his doings. Do not let my words do good. Do not my words, I guess I need to connect that, do good to anyone walking uprightly. Now that's not true. You have to be obedient. You have to be following the commandments. The commandments are the agreement between the Israeli people coming out of the desert and their descendants, because it's tied to, if you don't obey the 12 commandments, then you will be sent away. So, now he's talking about recently my people have risen as an enemy. You strip off the robe, the garment from inspecting passers-by, from those who are returning from war. Now, this is not true here at all. This is not true. They didn't have any wars at this time. The last really wars that Israel had was King David. Okay? And King David conquered all the surrounding areas, all the way up to the, the Chaldeans who lived on the Euphrates River. But you have to remember that the Saudi Arabia desert is near enough to Jordan that nobody lives in this area at that time. It was just too hot for anybody. They traveled at night through there. But there would be that little strip of land up by the Euphrates, and then the desert, and then the land all the way going down to the Egyptian river was conquered by David. Okay? So this is definitely something that cannot be said as truthful. So this here is not right. The women of my people you evict, each from her pleasant home. For her children, from her children you take my splendid favor. Now, you know that there's something wrong when our Creator is telling, because these are words supposedly our Creator is saying, you evict the people from her pleasant home, and then her children you take my splendor favor, my splendor forever. I'm sorry, I was reading that wrong. My splendor forever. So this is not true. Okay. Arise and go, for this is no place of rest, because of the uncleanness that brings on destruction, a painful destruction. Now, again, this text is repeating nonsense about what he's already said is going to happen here. And he wouldn't go into detail about it. He just says things as a group, and then he's done talking. Okay. So to say that I'm planning against you, this family a calamity, right now he's already said that you're going to be desolate. So is there anything new here in this text that tells me what's going on? Sorry, I got to keep looking because I keep getting kicked off YouTube from streaming. I've really had to get my bit rate down slow, and I'm under 3,500. right now, but I don't have any warnings yet, and I'm only, 20 minutes? Yep. But the object here is there anything new in the text? No, because if they're desolate, who's going to take up the taunt against them? I'm thinking all this is out as well. This is just not really being truthful here. Yeah, I don't see anything here that can't be said in the words that our Creator already has said. How can it be a painful destruction when the survivors are supposed to be the ones that are the believers, and he's killing off all the corrupt people when he sends them down? If a man walking after wind and falsehood, that just reads odd, had told lies and said, I will speak out concerning wine and liquor. Yep. He would be a spokesman for this people. I don't think our Creator would say something that stupid. I will surely assemble all of Jacob, and I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. I'll put them together like sheep in a fold, like a flock. Oops, got the caps on. Like a flock in the midst of pasture, they'll be noisy with men. Now the breaker goes forth among them. He'll bring the and YV is at their head. Now, our Creator doesn't speak in third person, so you know that this text is not true. But this text here might go with the text that I've got up here. Because first of all, the text is, because I don't have these words here, right here, of his promise that they're going to return. This, it would have to say, yet he will surely assemble the descendants from Israel. I will gather them I will put them together like sheep in the field, like a flock in the midst of its pasture. They'll be noisy with men. Okay, this is not needed. Now I'm going to work with this here, and I'm going to try to see if I can actually get some words here. So this would have to be, has to be added. Let me go up here and see, because the format, see, I've got it already connected. So what it would be is I need to find one group, or I need to find two groups here. And I don't see anything here or here that's going to go with this text. This might be. Okay. Yet because he's not really, is he speaking here? Yes. And it's being said as what he has said. So I have to understand that. And then, because you got to figure out how the writer is writing. Yet he, and actually I'm just changing this word, so this is here, and I hate that. Yet he will, I don't need surely, he will, well, yeah, I guess I could use the word surely assemble. This has to be like with the remnant of Israel. And this would be, our creator said this, so then this has to be all small caps. I designate how when the word Israel is being used as good Israel and bad Israel. When bad Israel is, I'm using all small caps, and I'm pretty sure I make them bold. And if they were good as the nation Israel, the upper half of the full nation of Israel, when our Creator divided in half. So you got to understand that that's what this is. This is the nation of Israel. Remnant, it would be from Israel. The remnant are people that were left on the land that they had escaped. But this is our Creator. So, whoops. Creator said this, but I got to make it black. With the remnant from Israel. Now that sounds like a period to me. He will surely assemble and I have to do this to say to be, I need to say I'm adding this to be gathered. And then this would be, I'm adding that. And this in the 3-verse format is, this is a statement, and these 2 verses are connected together to reinforce the statement. So what I have is I've got to say, I got to get rid of that. We already have I will up here, he will up here. I will surely assemble this has to be captives. This has to just be captives. I don't think I got that spelled right. No, there. I will surely assemble I got to add the word the in front of it just to make it read better. The captives to be gathered with the remnant from Israel. Now, that's because this text up here is saying that there's going to be a desolate, okay? Desolate doesn't mean completely empty, okay, when he's speaking like this. A lot of destruction, but they're leaving a remnant on the land there that escaped. And usually the remnant is also mentioned as those that, let's see, those that were too poor, old, sick to travel, okay? So they would left them behind. Now there would have been those that could have hid themselves, which many did. So, but they were all supposed to be those that were onto our crater. Our crater come in to wipe out those that were onto a female goddess. So the thing here is this is what the text is going to reflect here, as the captives that are gone are coming back to be gathered. And that was his prophecy for many a time. So, and then it will be, I can grab this to come down here. He will, that I already have gathered here. It's not put. Let's see if I can find some help here. This is going to be Micah 12. And I use this concordance to help me find other words that, like when I click on it here, I'm going to just bring it up so you can see it here. This is the word I'm working on. In here, these are all the words that they would use for this Hebrew word and how many times they would use it. And a lot of times I will, okay, establish them together. Now, by establishing together, because I know about the stories, okay, so I can't be stupid that I don't know what's going to happen. And that is, our Creator is going to have kings from Babylon rebuild Jerusalem and start sending the captives back. So it's the word established. He will establish them together, and that's what he's going to do. That is a more correct word to be used. And maybe I should put up the text now on the right-hand side. This is the books that I'm starting to combine together this is the story of them coming back together from what I've got so far cleaned up. And this is going to be the book that you see when it's completed. And I still have coloring on the text to make notes that I've got to look at what's going on. Now, this text is going to start out with, I think, Habakkuk, which is before they're sent away into captivity. But when I start reading something about before Ezra, this would be talking about the prophets in the land that's the remnant, okay? Ezra in that group came from Egypt area, okay? And that's what you're seeing there. That's the start I've got, and this text will go with it. Now, Daniel would be stuck in there someplace, and it's going to be like 12 pages. So I'm trying not to do that right now yet. I'm trying to clean up the littlest books first instead of having a series of 20 books. And I'm really trying to get some stream time that it doesn't close down on me. So I'm surprised. Well, usually it's about this time I get a warning and then I'm kicked off. I don't know why. But he will establish establish them together, period. Because there's not going to be many, like it's not this. There's no such thing as a sheepfold, but like a flock in, I'm going to have to add the word a, and then I don't need this, in a pasture. So this is our creator said this, what he's saying that he's said, and I've got to fix that back row, but I need one more, and you can see it says they'll be noisy with men. Well, so their king, this would be Jesus, which all prophets must speak about Jesus. And it will not be so, it will be and, or maybe it should be for. Oops, it should have been like this, then like this. Or their king, and this has got to be red. For their king goes before them. I'm going to put all these words together as one that I'm going to get rid of here, as saying walk with them. Oops. So all this is going to be replaced with this word here. This is going to be a period. And now I've got that added. Okay, so what I do now is I try to show you what the text will look like cleaned up. And I will go here and just make a space and say, hey, from this text right here, I'm going to select it again, run a cleanup macro. And then, I still didn't catch this one. Yet he will surely assemble the captives to be gathered with the remnant from Israel. Now, these are all words he's saying come from our Creator. And then these have to be italic. No color. And then you can see this is the next verse together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, well, and I'm going to say Micah 2, and I'm going to go up here and grab this text, Micah 1, and come down here, place it here, and say this is actually the full text that I've got, as I can prove are hidden formats from the first writer, and be truthful about it. Okay, so that now sounds because I didn't have these words here before. And that's why when I found them, I said, okay, it looks like there could be something here. And it turned out to be another 2 groups. So now getting to chapter 3 here. And how am I doing on, well, I'm not kicked off yet. Maybe I found the right upload speed, kilobyte speed, or whatever they call it, megabytes. But I got to check to see if it's not distorted later. So I don't know if you guys are seeing it clear or not. But I said, hear now, heads of Jacob. Is it not for you to know justice? And that doesn't need to be now. I said, and it has to be I told. The prophet would be able to tell them. I told. I told. Now the heads would be like, it could be the leaders of the tribe, or it could be like heads would be the judges, the priests, the teachers. But he's telling Israel, and this has to be not house but kingdom. For Israel. And like I said before, I gotta make this all small caps because they're the bad guys. And I'll make it bold. And since this is talking to them, and a little k because they're corrupt, the rulers, and I would need this actually over here. And again, I would need the word for the kingdom of Israel. Okay, now I've got to say, if this is a 3-verse format, I've got to find here. I told them to, I guess I would have to do, told them to and I would say listen to me. And this would be the statement. But this needs to be, I told them to listen to me. The tribes, yes, this is going to be told, this is going to be tribes. Tribes. I told the tribes from Israel This would be the man, or male, Israel. So he just gets it like this. Okay. I told them to listen to me. I told them to listen. I told Okay. Now, what I'm thinking is, because when I read it, I know I was silent for a second or two. So what happens here when I'm looking at the text, I have to understand what has been said. And when I'm realizing that he's talking about this message is to the king for Samaria, okay, which is the capital of the kingdom of Israel. And now this is going to be desolate, and then they're going to be sent back. Now this story is saying, it would say, then I told the tribes from Israel for the kingdom for Israel. So this is wrong. I got that wrong. I got that wrong. And I don't need that, so I got that wrong. I told them, and I think I added that word, yes, because I added this word. Then I told them, and I don't need the word the, I need the word the here. Then I told, period, the tribes from Israel for the kingdom of Israel. But it has to be, I've got this wrong. I got tribes in the wrong spot. Tribes needs to be here. And it has to be heads, which would be the leaders. And this would be, whoops, they don't get a capital letter because they're corrupt. The leaders for the tribes. So I'm replacing that word, but I'm putting this word in. Then I told the leaders for the tribes for the kingdom yeah, I got to use the word for twice like that. Okay. Now he's being sent to them. Now this is odd because this king here is in Judah. So it's establishing what time he was to talk on the Judah side. So did he come? I'm trying to put this in my head to make it sound correctly, and I'm trying to say that he was a prophet in Judah, given this prophecy to the kings to Samaria, and then he was sent to also tell the other people. So he actually went to Samaria to tell them, the kings. He just didn't say it at Jerusalem. He said it there in Samaria, which it's very rare that we have prophets in Israel. So this would hold true that he would have been in Judah and then he was sent to them. And, whoops, that should have been like that. Still making corrections. Okay. Is it not you? Well, I still got to get, is it not for you to know? And this would have to be our Creator's justice. So I'm going to use it as his justice. And it's not really his justice. It's going to be his commandments. The commandments is the agreement that our Creator made with them in the Sinai when they were coming out of Egypt. And if they didn't obey the commandments, he was going to cast them away, or cast them off the land. And so that's why I'm using this word and not the word commands or his laws. So this needs to go with a period. Now, I've got to make a correction on the layout size here. Make it 4.5, see if that works. Yeah, now I get the word commands to look in one line. That might help here a little bit. Is it showing up okay over there? All right. Now, this is what this, like I said, is a statement. Now I got to find two sentences here that make the statement. And it's yet you hate. I gotta just do this twice here. I'm gonna copy that, put this here, and put yet here. Yet you hate good and it's not good that they hate. It has to be you hate, yet you hate his. And it's not good. But what does the text here in the concordance tell me? Now, this is chapter 3, and it's verse 2, hate good. There we go. Now, out of here, is there a better word? I don't see that here. This is the 1977 NSAB concordance that you will never find again. They've taken it off out of the public's viewing because this shows you the corruption of the text. And I usually try to find a word here before I have to say, I can't use the word here to be truthful what's being said. Let's see if I scan down here. You hate his justice. I'm thinking, what's not his good? You hate his blessing? You hate his prophecy. His prophecy. Okay. Okay, now I got to explain this let me do it with text that's in the Bible. This is Malachi 2:11, where Judah this is the kingdom of Judah, has married the daughter of a foreign god. This is a foreign goddess. The foreign god is known as Ra. The moon goddess is his daughter. And then the roaming planet, we know them as planets, are gods, and they still have names of those gods on those planets. And then this is what to be married to her means they sit and meditate to have sex, a so-called sex, with a so-called female goddess. And here is Jeremiah, which is at the last, when they're being sent away by Babylon. Jeremiah calls her the Queen of Heaven, and this is what they're doing. They were arguing with him that they're on to her and they're going to pour out their libations. They're going to make cakes for her, and our forefathers are kings, and this is not princes, but these are going to be word priests. Well, the thing is that was what's going on was in Jews in Judah. Now, when I say that, let me bring up some older images. This is the sun god Ra, and this is tied to the moon goddess. And you'll see this moon goddess, and still this is Athena. That's still, you can go in Greece and still see this image here. But this is the female goddess. Now, the thing here is these are the guys that are editing the text. So they have a belief that they can become gods, okay? And what they're doing is they're rejecting, they have this practice so they can become gods. So when they die, they become, now this is old, this is 2,000 years ago. They believed that they were going to become like the Roman gods. They were going to become another, what we call stars, but they know it as hosts of heaven. So the thing here is they didn't believe that a male being brought onto earth was going to be able to allow them to enter into heaven. Their concept of it wasn't what they know about. This repeatable practice of meditating to have sex with a so-called female goddess is what makes it such a sure thing for them. And these are the true atheists. Fake atheists, they just don't believe our Creator exists. These have a purpose of being onto their female goddess and their God. So it was prophecies about Jesus. Well, I guess there should be just one prophecy, and it was about Jesus. And I'm going to make that my word because I can't say that I can go from the word good to explain the prophecy. And then it is that, and they love, and it would be to love, or to love your evilness. And evilness is a word I use to say that they're completely against our Creator. And I just described what their evilness was. Okay, so that is what's being said. Now, when you look at the text and say that this is the starting of this words he's going to say to the leaders. So let's see what else he's got to say, because now what I've got to do is I've got to find this next group that's going to say, other than this here, to continue that story. You tear off their skin from them and their flesh from the bones. You eat flesh of my people. Strip off their skin from them. They break their bones and chop them up for the pot as meat in the kettle. Okay, now you know that this is not true. They were not cannibalisms, okay? And yet this is what this text is saying. So this, no, they weren't doing that, okay? That there's no history of them doing this. So what they did do, they were against our Creator. And our Creator cast them out. So let's see here. You love your evilness. Now, the word then, I'm not sure if that's in the text over here, and that's starting verse 4. So when I look here, okay, now I can see that the word so is being used once. I like the word so right here. And whoops, I got to get you guys back on this page. So and it has to be not they, so you, and he's talking to them as a group, but whoops, my keys, I got so many macros and I hit the wrong keys. But so you, did I get kicked off the internet yet? No? Surprising. Okay. It was a month ago I was streaming for 4, 7, 8 hours. And now I can't get past, this is the first time I've gotten past, what, an hour and probably a week and a half. So this is good. So you will cry out. I don't even need the word, the so here. I got that wrong. I don't need that. You will cry out to Ivy, period. But he will not answer you. Now, this is going to be because he knows they're going to go into captivity. So he's telling them he will not answer you. He will not answer you. Now, see, I'm seeing this is going to start like he's got another prophecy going here. So this text is telling me that there's going to be a break here, and this is going to be a different subject here. But here, what is this subject here? If I do this, I don't have enough for another 3 verse, do I? And I can't use anything from there for a 3 verse. So instead he will hide. At that time, because you have practiced evil deeds. Now, how is that? That's the 2 groups. You will cry out to Ivy, but he will not answer you. Instead, he will hide from you, period. Now, the text you're seeing on the right side is the text that's I've already found, and it shows the story of the return. I've got it started with Habakkuk. I know that's way before, but that's because I've done prophecy or the book Haggai or Habakkuk, and I'm putting that text together. So it's after Haggai or Habakkuk shows up, then you'll start seeing the return in the prophets that are on the remnant being told they're coming down from Babylon. And then it gets to where Ezra is, who were those that fled to Egypt, are going to return. So that's what you see on the right side in the hidden formats. That's pretty much a 4-verse format. Here, this is a 3. Instead, he will hide from you. Now, I think that's pretty good. Now, this has to be because you practice. Now, this is continuing. You're and the evil, like I said, is against our Creator, and it's not deeds. It practiced your evil. I would put the word acts here because you need to sit and meditate to do this. So let me take a look at the word deeds to see if there's a better word than acts. Practice. Okay, I can do practices. See how that book helps me out a lot here? Whoops. I forgot to bring you back. I do that sometimes. Sorry about that. But this was going to be the practice here instead of deeds. Okay. Now, that sounds like, and look at this. I can skip this and I can get to the story. Just like you see the text on the other side, you wouldn't believe how much I threw out just to get those pieces, and yet they connect together now in a pretty good order. Okay, now he should still be saying something more than just this, but maybe that's it. Now, maybe he's got another one started here. Words from our Creator. Thus says YV concerning they had diviners. When those that sit and meditate. Let me show you something here. You've probably seen these pictures before, but I just want to make sure that I'm tying the story together. How they sit and meditate, and what you're seeing is what goes on inside their body. Okay, but it is tied to a female goddess here, and sometimes they show it to you that way or not. But this is what I'm talking about: sitting and sitting and meditating. So, but the object is, you can search for, what is it, the word Kundalini? Yeah, right here, and you'll still see these images. This is the practice, okay? And they are known as diviners, okay? Or not soothsayers, but they have astrologers. They have, by reading the stars, and Jesus tells you none of that, believe that. But these are got to be diviners. They're the ones that are trying to tell the future, like the word prophet. Let me see if that's what they've got over here. Let me see if I put on the word prophets. See, that's all. Yeah, it's all tied to the word prophet, but that's not. No, they had diviners that were ones that were to tell the future concerning your diviners. And if this continues, I might not need this. Now concerning your diviners who lead my people astray. You can see that, look, when I'm doing these formats, what I try to do is use one or two major words, and then two major words, and then one, and you can see this is pretty much tied to that one, two major words, and then I'm adding the least amount of words I can to get to this format. And right now, I've got way too many here. Concerning your diviners who lead and it's not Jesus has been known since David's time. So they aren't really our creator's people. We know that we're going to go into Jesus's kingdom. So we're going to be his servants and we're going to be in his kingdom. So it would be his people, meaning Jesus's people who lead him away. So I would have to put in the word his people. And this would have to be red text. This would have to be red, even though I'm changing this to it would be who lead his people astray. Okay. But now this is a 4-verse. But like I said, I could remove this and just put so I have to wait for that. So let me put this in yellow, just in case I forget what I'm doing here. So I forgot to bring you back here. Sorry about that. I pushed the keyboard and it doesn't do it right. So what I did was I put in the word diviners here, and then I discussed why it should be his people and colored the text. And then if the story is going to continue from here, it's got to be a 3-verse. So I put it as a 3-verse. And this is the verse that I might be removing. But if it starts going, if I start finding verses that make 4-verse, then we know this is another prophecy and it is not connected to the text above. But that's what happens. I don't know until I get down doing more text here. When they have something to bite with their teeth, they cry peace. Now, how can you bite with their teeth and cry peace? Maybe they'll grind their teeth. And cry, you will have peace. But against him who puts nothing in his mouth, they declare a holy war. Now this is not going to go with this text here. Unless I can find maybe a 3-verse. Okay, I should mention here, the fuchsia color words that you see here in the text. This is added words in 1977, and I believe they added over 10,000 words. So there's since 1977 in the NSAB, they've probably added 50,000 words by now that were not there. And if you think the Bible needs correcting to have 50,000 words put in to say what should have been finished 2,000 years ago, that's just showing you that they're corrupting the text by trying to make sense out of this. But let me see if I need the word when here. Let me see. This is... See, Strong didn't think that was a strong enough word to add to here. So he was reading the actual Hebrew text. And this was added for the text to be written in English. So at least that's the way how I see it. Now, to say that when they have, when they have some, when they speak, it's diviners. So, you know, when they prophesy, prophesy, oops, getting ahead of myself. When they prophesy, I gotta say grit, something here, gnash their teeth. What is the word here? Bite. Predators. See, now that's the corruption in the text right there. That word is used for biting down, all except for once, and it means creditors. But that's what goes on in the text. If you watch one of my intros, I have show you in the 1611 preface to the Bible. They call Gregory the divine. So just to let you know that they knew a clerk in the Vatican was divine, and they give him a capital D when they said divine. So when they prophesy, they grit. They grit their teeth. And I think they're going to be crying out. Cry out means to go around loudly among the people and to say, hey, this is our prophecy. So this is what crying out means. Not that I literally got tears crying out. It's, they cry out peace. We will have peace. I have to add that because they got to be arguing against what our Creator has said. It's their prophecy against our Creator here. So it has to be a prophet is sent, and then their diviners come out against them. And that's what's going to happen here is this is all going to be removed. When they prophesy, they grit their teeth and cry out, we will have peace. And that's what they did there. So now, this stuff about nothing about a holy war in their mouth, no, that ain't going to get it. Therefore it will be night for you without visions. Well, that's not true. Therefore it will be night for you, which means darkness for you, without visions. Well, here, that's in darkness for you without divinations. The sun will go down on your diviners, and the day will become dark over them. The diviners will be ashamed, or the seers will be ashamed, and the diviners will be embarrassed. And cover their mouth. Because there is no answer. It would be from there. Now, what happens here, what you're seeing highlighted down here, they put the title God in the text, but when I go to the Hebrew text, I find it as Elohim. I know it is actually the title Creator. A lot of people, when they put in those two titles for our Creator's name, and I should show you that. Here, when you read in the Bible, you see these all capital letters, and then they'll tell you that, well, the capital letters with God too is all meaning his name, or these letters YHVH. Well, they actually did that 6,825 times, and they put in two titles, and now everybody thinks his name is God, which is wrong. But down here they did the same, but they put it here as they were using it for Yah, but that isn't explained to you. But the name of the God of Israel, and actually this is Jesus's name that they give for him, okay? But the object is, it was the king for Israel, the king of all Israel. So that's what goes on. But when I went and did Creator, or the word Elohim, if you go back into Genesis and you replace all these titles God with the word our Creator created, wouldn't that sound right? As a title, he created. So then you go through here, and that's what he's doing, he's creating. So I did check all 2,325 verses with the word Elohim, and I think there was only about less than 5 times that it didn't make sense. And I could have put a different title in those. But now I'm going to say that I'm going to use it as the word their God. But let's see, how am I going to do this? Because I've got text already that's italic from their God. Then I'll get rid of this. Okay, because their God does not talk to them. Their goddess does not talk to them. Okay. Now this all does seem that I got to find a format here. But let's put it this way. The practice that I'm telling you about, she appears on certain moon days throughout the moon months. The one that they like the most is that left-handed crescent moon, which you see on the Islamic flags. that moon day. And they're only meditating. If you had studied mythology in college, you would have found out that Zeus had Athena pop forth from his forehead. Well, that just means that she appeared in his forehead. She just all of a sudden appeared. And that's when they have this so-called sex with her. And what I'm meaning by that is that for a male, the stiffness happens very quickly, and it's like a release of your seed, but you don't release your seed. You're hermetically sealed, and that's a hermit. Your hand from jacking off, hermit. Anyways, it's all in the trickery of the words that they use. But to know, you have to know that to understand how I'm going to correct this text, because our Creator has always allowed them to do this. And actually, I'll let you know the answer to this, what's going on right now in the world. When I'm talking about this, you can go and look at, or look for the letter X on your television. Right now, you're going to find, because this is September, in October, there's a special day. It's called Halloweeny time. Okay. And that's where a male's maleness is going to retract inside his body. But that has always, this practice can't be stopped. And it is actually Satan deceiving them. And there is a war going on with them right now. And if you see the letter X, and you know Twitter just went X, this means that those that were like that had that practice and have stopped, they come just like the movie X-Men. They're now helping humans. Okay, so, but you know they got still the bad X-Men out there. But when you see the letter X running on your television commercials in all your products, you're going to find hundreds of products with the letter X on it. When you walk into the store, especially a drugstore, and start looking at the medicines and things that you can buy that in a package, and look for the letter X, you're going to find how well organized the good guys are. Okay, and they're trying to put out the message that stop this practice of demonation. So now that you understand that this happens on day, it can't be stopped. The sun will go down on your prophets. That diviners, that will not happen. That's just wrong. Day will become darkness over them. That will not happen. Without visions, you can't stop seeing her. A creator still allows that. So all that has to be removed. And now I've got to find two groups in this here, and then maybe the next. Your seers will be ashamed. Period. The seers and diviners. The seers are those that are going to be seeing her. And I have to put your diviners, so I'm going to do this. And your diviners will be ashamed. And this indeed they will all. Indeed, does it mean like the word yes? I'm just seeing. Indeed, here we go. Oh, see, strong didn't feel that was a strong enough word to put in there. So, all is. So now, got to make sure this comes back. Now, what I'm seeing here is your seers will be ashamed and your diviners will be embarrassed. For they will cover their mouths. That means they're going to be stopped from saying what, because they're going to be ashamed of their practice. So actually, the text below should be that Jesus is coming. So let me see here how this is going. The story should lead into that direction. Because there is no answer. Now let me take a look at the word because here. And then there is the word there. Oh, okay, it's two of these Hebrew words in a row. So what you'll see is that when they have they had no, this would mean they had three of those words in a row. But here they had no. So okay. So their no would be down here farther. But okay, let me get back over here. I'm thinking and thinking. Because there will be no answer, comma, from their god or goddess. And I got to add the word goddess. Ra won't answer them, so I'm going to put Ra here as his name. Because there will be no answer from Ra or I guess I put his and then got to put the word daughter here. No, that is because, like I said, when I showed you this is what I'm putting in. They call her a daughter of a foreign god. So that's why I'm putting this in. And this is, to marry her is this meditating in darkness to see a female goddess. So I have to add this text. Or I did add this one too, didn't I? Because there will be no answer from Ra or his daughter. Okay, now that is a 2-verse grouping. On the other hand, I am filled with the power with the spirit of YHVH, and with justice encouraged, to make known to Jacob, even Israel, his sin. Okay. Now this would be him boasting that he is a prophet, but he wouldn't need to be boastful. Be very argumentative with them. But where is the words here I'm looking for that can be made? You know, see, this here is talking about Jerusalem. And that is definitely too far away from the text. Because right now, the text, everything I've got, is at a different timeline by 200 years about the destruction of Judah. Because they're all good guys so far. It starts getting corrupt after they go into Assyria, or Assyria takes them captives. And then, well, let me show you the timeline. So, because I know I talk and I'm thinking everybody knows what I know, I better not do that. And, oh, I forgot to check. Hey, I'm still live. It hasn't stopped yet. But, okay. This is what I'm saying. Micah has gone over here to talk to these kings, and like this, he's talking to the tribe leaders. But these are corrupt kings with the small letters. So this is the king time. But after they go, all of them go into Assyria. This king for Israel, he's meditating to have sex with the female goddess. He puts his own idol, or his carving of her, in his meeting room in his house, which means all the priests are now corrupt for them to allow that. He had also made an altar to the horse gods, okay, and placed that into the courtyard. So if any time this text really started getting corrupt, where they stole everything, beat, killed, whatever, and took this text and started making their own text, this would be a perfect time to say, yes, they started here, maybe even before then. But, well, I'd say definitely inside his 50 years. But this is where the timeline is at now. And you can see that's too distant. So, I am filled with the and you can't be filled with the spirit of YHVH, so we know that's not true. Well, this is going to go on, and it is because I changed the word from heads to leaders, so that has to be true here then. And the more I pound on these little things that I know that needs to be done, and I guess I can't get rid of that. I thought I could. And this here is that house. This is kingdom. It's not of Israel, it's for Israel. And these are the bad guys, so I need to go here and make that all small text, small caps, and make it bold. And then say I'm adding that, or correcting this. And I had to do this as an example. I think this is almost the same verse from above, because I just remembered I corrected that just like that before. So for the house, for the kingdom, for Israel. This here has to be not who, it has to be you. He's talking to them is the way this should be, if I'm following the story correctly. And horde means hate. So, but the only thing is now I'm really thinking, because I added his justice before here, and I told you that can't be his justice, his prophecy. So let me see where I did that. Right here. Yeah, right here. For the leaders of tribes for Israel. Now this, I know I corrected, is what you're seeing there. And then it is here, hate. They had good, and then it's going to be talking about you love your evilness. Okay, so down here, this has to be prophecy again. Now I'm thinking that this doesn't need to be here. You hate his prophecy, period. And no, that's got to be a comma. And twist everything of him, which would be Jesus. And since I've got to do this, I can't color it red. Twist everything of him. I'd like to put the word about him, and everything of him is the way I'm going to have to do it. So you hate his prophecy. Yes, this text here is not needed now, but I've got you. Now, you leaders and rulers. And I would need the word for before it. So, and then it would be like that and not this. Although maybe it is, maybe, but I'm saying it's this group here. For your leaders and rulers I don't even need the word you here. Hate his prophecy and twist everything of him. Because that's the prophecy. The prophecy is how to enter into heaven. That's the battle. And that's why they're X-Men. They now know that our Creator exists. In my description below, there should be a proof of afterlife video that tells you how our Creator made me see him 8 times, and I go strictly through it for all males 13 and up can actually witness they have a soul, witness that they are visiting the abyss, and they can talk to those who are dead or have died or have left their body on earth to have their soul drifting around in the abyss. And it's safe enough for 13-year-olds to do 3 times. So, but it only takes once when you're convinced that I just did what? Because you're going to remember everything you did for those 3.5 hours. The time difference isn't like time here. If you do it on a clock, you're going to be, I'm pretty sure it's about 3.5 hours that you're going to be in a state where you're talking to these beings. But the time over there might be only like a half hour, but you're going to remember everything. Everything. When you open up your eyes and you're back on earth, you're going to remember everything, which is a repeatable proof for atheists that if you're an atheist out there, do that, and then you can now know that you're going to live forever. Whether you still believe our Creator exists, that's up to you. But if you call out for Satan down there, or there, as I did, hey, maybe he'll show up to you and talk to you as well. Okay, I don't see that here. Your leaders and rulers hate his prophecy and twist everything of him. If I put it with, I'm just trying this out, with courage, I make that's got to be here. So that isn't working out. I make known, period, your, no, wrong. Make known your, I make known to you your rebellious, which it's evilness. Well, I got evilness too far. Evil acts. I'm trying to put this together, and I'm trying to figure out, is this the end of the sentence here? Because if I get rid of this, and if I say this is the end, evil acts. Boy, I just had that word that I was going to stick in here besides these two. Your evil acts that your leaders and rulers I don't know if that's smooth enough to read together, and I'm looking at these words here. So let me see here. If I do that, maybe you can see the orneriness on my face. It's a giant puzzle to me when it's trying to figure this out, because and I'm trying to, I guess this would be the statement that I'm looking for. And this is not needed. With justice and courage, I make known to you your evil acts, and that your leaders and rulers' evil acts. Heads could be, no, because I'm thinking that your evil acts have led your rulers to hate his prophecy. With justice, courage, I make known to you your evil acts, that your leaders and rulers hate his prophecy and twist everything of him. Okay, I guess that's pretty good. So it might be corrected later, but I think that's good enough to where I should go on, because I've got to do a cleanup here pretty soon and see what this looks like here. Did I get kicked off yet? Nope. Did my picture freeze up over there? Maybe it did. Maybe it is stopped. What's going on over here? Okay, the live time is still running, but I don't see my image. Nothing's moving over there. I'm sorry, I've got to look at this just to see what's going on here. What's my analytics say? Okay, there's the text is moving. Okay, I'm still, hey, I was thinking that I've stopped over there. So boy, anyways, I got to get a new computer. Anyways, now I've got this. Now, this story is separate. Because when it talks about Jerusalem, that's a different timeline, because this text up above is to Israel, who hasn't gone into captivity to Assyria yet. Now, there was a couple prophets that were killed by that king that I showed you, that he just doesn't have, what's this message? Okay, anyways, who has built the bloodshed? Okay, now let me see here. This would be Ezra's text that I'm going to put up just to show you Ezra there. And that's mixed with Zechariah. I've combined them two. So now, but this is going to go back to the text up here that their mouths are going to be shut. See, they'll be crying out. So this has already been said. But maybe this text goes before that text. This is actually Jerusalem. Okay. This is saying here. Let's see. I have to say it that I'm just going to try to see if there's something here. Who builds up Jerusalem? This is where the word Jerusalem needs to be. Who builds up Jerusalem? with bloodshed and injustice. See, this is almost telling me that this is a comma and this is a period, because this doesn't want a hook. So this is telling me that this verse is kind of missing. Is what I'm seeing here. But this also means that this is a divider, because this is two different stories. Okay, now I got to change my mind thought. Now got to go a couple hundred years forward. See what they're, at least now after their Israel's gone captivity. Builds up Jerusalem with bloodshed and violence. Their leaders pronounce a judgment for a bribe, period. Or seers instruct judgment for a bribe. Now that just doesn't seem right here. But this, if I put the word as, now this doesn't need to be here. Who builds up Jerusalem with bloodshed and violence, as their leaders pronounce judgments for a bribe. Where seers instruct them for a price will divine. For them. As they As they lean unwivy. This wouldn't be bold. They're misrepresenting them here by saying they lean on. Their seers instruct them. And for a price they will divine for them. As they lean unwivy. Now this is weird. Saying, I gotta say this correctly. That be, this has got to be war. Because I've got to put myself at a different time, and you got to be talking about what other prophets have said. The other prophets said Babylon is coming to take you captive, and they've got to be saying this is going to happen by an act of war. There will, not is, but will not be war. Now, when you see this, that's tied to this, not come upon us. Okay. So that means that this has to be a period. Now, what is going on? Them, if he's referring to the story, it's those he's been condemning, so it's got to be the word them, not you. On account of them, Jerusalem would be plowed. Jerusalem will be not plowed. Jerusalem will be captured. Because that's in the shadow of the word, I should say. So, therefore, on account of them, Jerusalem be captured. and his house because it's no longer his house. You have to represent it that way. House will become a heap of ruin. Okay, I don't like the word heap, but that's beside the point. I'm trying to find, this is a 4-verse. But get rid of all the words that I've added here. And then get rid of all of them. Her seers instruct them as they lean on YV, saying, we will not be, and saying, saying, no war. Saying no war will come upon us. Therefore, on account of them, we'll be captured. Okay. Now that means this is empty. So this and this are going to be connected together. And then there's this. Okay. Let me do a cleanup. And yeah, it's been a while. So am I still streaming? I don't know if I'm still streaming or not. I'm really having trouble with that. So let me clean up what I've got, what I've found here so far. Okay, I've got a 3-verse that starts off here. And these 2 verses, or these 2, this is known as a psalm in their style of writing. So it's a small paragraph and another small paragraph, but they connect together to make a larger one. So I get to have 2 spaces, and then it should repeat itself. And then again, it should do this again to see if the format's fitting, and it works. And then I should go do it again. And it's still a 3-verse format. And then it should do it again. And then, okay, and then it changes stories. So this I can make, let me make it yellow, because this is going to be a 4-verse group. And then this here. Now this is the next prophecy. So this can't be part of his prophecy. When I show you the timeline of, well, maybe I should combine what I've got here right here from above. Now what I've done already is this. This is from 2, this is from 1. Not much, but it is the start that actually goes with this text here. So if I put it here, then you can see that this is all a 3-verse format. And maybe I should make it smaller so you can actually see this beauty of the text here. Now, this is the king that he's talking about as a story. So let me put that into perspective here on the timeline of kings. And you won't find this list anywhere, but this is the most correct king dating times and cross-reference of this happened during this. So these numbers don't reflect the actual number of years, but the events between the 2 kings within their tenure or reign. This is the king where Micah is going to start, because he's talking about Babylon coming down, but he's not using the word Babylon. Down here, this is going to be some 120 years later at this time, because this king was really corrupt for Judah. That's what this lettering means. A small letter means they're bad king, large letter means they're a good king. So this Assyria took them away. At this king is where this text is starting here, because here see he's talking about it's going to be made Samaria, which is the the capital city for Judah, or the Israel, the nation Israel. As you know, that it's separating line right here between these 10 tribes and these 2 tribes. And if I go to 150, I'll show you the true location where Samaria is at. So this prophet is being sent from here to these kings, and as he's going through here, he's going to be talking about the next part here, yet this continuing of his prophecy of our Creator to the king. And then he tells them, the leaders for the tribes, that because of their evilness, and they led his people, this is Jesus's people, we're Jesus's servants in heaven, and these are the text of what they are prophesying against our Creator. They're diviners. And then that story ends, and now we're got text somewhere about Babylon, okay? But no mention of Babylon in here. So that's, whoops, that goes flying all over the place. I got to click on that. So that's what the text looks like. It looks pretty good as a story. And what you're seeing on the right side is Ezra and Zephaniah or Zechariah stuck together. Boy, these names are really starting to confuse me when I've got 6 of them in my head at one time here. So let's see, I've been streaming for what? Just 2 hours, and I'm still streaming. Maybe I found the right kilobytes, because they say you can do like 6,000. They want you at 5,000 on the OBS as a sign up for you for it. But I'm at 780p streaming, and I can only go at 3,500. But finally today, I've gotten more than 20 to 30 minutes going, which is an accomplishment. Because a month ago, they were allowing me to stream for like 7 hours without any problem. So now that I've got that text, and I've only been going for 2 hours, I've got time to keep going. Now, this is what I'm starting off with the text. And I usually, because if I break up the stream, I gotta actually start with, oops, not that. How-to text. This is what I'm doing. I start to find the verses in the shortest sentence, and I look for a pair of a certain format style, either a 3-verse or a 4-verse, and then I start correcting the words. So in case I start making a video, it starts now for chapter 4. If I have to break this all up, it'll start again. So let me get back to showing you of the books that I've got together, and that's somewhat of the construction of the new text in order of all the text that I found so far. And I'll be adding this text into that next, and then that slideshow will start building up quite large, because when Daniel gets in there, there's going to be maybe 30 of them pages alone for Daniel. So maybe I have to divide it up. Anyways, it'll come about in the last days that the mountain, the house of Yahweh, will be established. That's weird. As the chief mountains. There's no mountains in Israel. There's no mountains. You got to understand, from Jordan, if you look at today's maps, Jordan looks down on top of Israel, literally. I mean, it's like the highest point in Israel might be like 2,000 feet above sea level, and it's just hills tops all over the place. But the what is it? It's called a mount, where it's just a great big plateau, and then it kind of has rivers that break these up. And there's 3 of them. And Moses was up on top when our Creator said, "Look down and see the promised land." So you can't have mountains, okay? So there is no mountain here, so that has to be gone. Be the chief mountains. That isn't really true. Why would a mountain become chief at all? Will be raised above the hills, and the people will stream to it. Now, when the prophets are speaking, they always have this knowledge, or different times, the prophets will say something, and then they will, well, at all times, or most of the prophets from David's time on, would have a message from our Creator, and somewhere in the very end, it will be talking about Jesus still coming to Jerusalem, okay? So when you're seeing the text on the right-hand side, you will see some of that text of them returning, okay? So we have to keep that in mind, or I keep that in mind. And when I'm looking at text like this, is this talking about the returning and it'll be established in the house for YV? Will be rebuilt and established? Is that what I'm looking at, having to add that words? Oops, I think I chopped off the word "the" here. The house for YV. is in the last days. Now, sometimes like this, when I'm looking at that, I like to go check here in the concordance. And this is what you're seeing here is the NSAB's 1977 text on the right-hand side, and this is their concordance. And their concordance tells us how many times they used a word for that word that I've got highlighted. And so what I've got to do is I got to move down to 14 or 4 and say, what about the words come about? Okay, so I don't need the word. Okay, so this is going to be here. They use it as future 7 times and end 21. So now how do I try to use either or those words to make it true over here? And I'm going to say this as a prophecy, okay? This, because right now we don't have a prophecy here yet. We don't have words telling us that it's prophecy. This will come in their last days. Whoops. Their last days. But it is starting to feel like 4 verse. Okay, his. If I put his here, we know who we're talking about. And then this is out. His house will be established. And it's in their last days. This will come. Period. In their last days. It's almost like I need the word after his house is established to make that true. So I got to see more text here. Will be raised above the hills and the people will stream to it. This is not going to be true. Many nations will come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain for YV and to the house of our Creator, that he may teach. Well, we know that our Creator doesn't teach. So let me see if I can get this. Okay, I think that's within what you're seeing there. Okay. Now, the peoples will stream to it. This would be races, meaning peoples, different races. The races will stream, and you're calling his house an it. If I get rid of these and establish this as the major word, willingly, races will willingly. Well, what if I put races here and get rid of this altogether? Not this, but this, and then this. Will come sane. And that seems like it's hooking together, so come sane. This has already been said. Let us go to YV. And they would understand he's their creator now, so that would be our creator. Is what they would be saying. That's why they're coming. Oops. I've cut out too much. That's a period. Let us go to YV, to the house of our creator. Okay. It's 4 verse. And not 3. This needs to be here. This needs to be a comma. This needs to be a comma, and I got to find a 4th verse. And those races will stream to it. I didn't like the word there, it, to describe. Very rare does a prophet consider the word it when talking about our Creator's house. So, and I'd have to put 4 here. For many races will come saying, let us go to YV, to his house. And let us go to YV, to the house this is all wrong. I have to let us go to, it has to be Jerusalem. And I have to add this word to be right. Let us go to Jerusalem, to the house of our Creator. That's more true. Okay. That's saying it truthfully. You can't go to YV. He has to be at his house. So, but the only problem is this does not happen. This is almost like a prophet wanting to say these things, because no time and our people was into it from many, this has to be kingdoms. And this would mean, even though it was the tech, we know that some of them went to Assyria, but do they understand, or is this being written at the time that he would know that after Babylon has actually joined to be all one up there, that Assyria was overtaken? It sounds like they made an agreement that they become one kingdom instead of fighting each other. And then all the captives from there would come down, and those that were in Egypt, they fled there. Now, did they flee other places as that's known as kingdoms? I don't think they would have went too far from Israel or from the promised land. So from many kingdoms, they will come saying, let us go to Jerusalem, to the house. Yeah, because the house is being reestablished. What am I talking about? Yes, that's truthful editing. Okay. So if I go just like that and come here, put a couple spaces in, put this here, and because I've been editing it and you might have a hard time reading it like that, let me see how it looks. Whoops. Something happened to that macro. Okay. And this is the text I just did. This will come in the last days. His house will be reestablished, and our people will stream to it from many kingdoms. They will come saying, let us go to Jerusalem, to the house of our Lord. Now that looks like a 4-verse format, but this is now, when is it dated? That's the question. When is it dated? When do you date that? Oops. That kind of fourth. a law, even words from YHVH. He will judge between many people. Now, this could be Jesus. He will judge between many people and render decisions. Don't know word for distant kingdoms. The difference between a nation is used as many tribes having their own little states, tribal lands, and a kingdom is owned by all one king. Okay, so that's the difference of what's going on here when I use the word nation to kingdom. They will hammer their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not lift up their sword against nation, and never again will they train for war. Well, we've lived a few thousand years since this time, and we know that this is not. No, this is not true. that is something we know that is absolutely oversalted words. Okay, we just know that today. But these words might be about Jesus. So each of them will sit under his vine tree and under his fig tree. No one will make them afraid, for the mouth of YHVH's has spoken. It's a little late for that, but I think you're making stuff up and sticking it in there for your God. Although all the peoples will walk each in his name, although all the people or all the races will walk each in the name of his God, as we walk in the name of YV, our Creator, forever and ever. All the people walk each in the name of his God. We will not walk, we will live. Now, this all of a sudden become like a 3-verse, just like that. So, now if this is going to become a 4-verse to go with this text, where am I finding these 4? This is Jerusalem, so let me correct that. Okay. This from Jerusalem that will go forth. What will be From Jerusalem will go forth. Be sent will go forth. Go forth, go forth, send out. Sent. From Jerusalem will be sent. Will be sent. But this is, if this is Jesus, if I make this Jesus, he will judge. He will judge between many people, many races. He will judge not between. Let me see the word I need to go to here. Need 5. And this is 2. Okay, let's bring that up. It's in 2. Is this only chapter 4? Yeah, that's my problem. Okay, now this is where I'm at. And what I'm looking for is, what verse? This is in 5. No, it's in 3. I'm sorry, I got confused. I had to stop and look at this. That's the word right there I'm looking for. Between. I really like the word once. You see this? They used it once. He will judge among them. I like the word among. That's what I'm going to do. He will judge among them, meaning when Jesus comes, he's going to judge among them that are there in Jerusalem. For many people, many races. Now, when I'm saying this is the prophecy that our Creator started with way back at Abraham's time. In Genesis, and these things you can't forget. If you understand our Creator's everlasting promises, not his covenant, but his everlasting promises. See if I can get this a little bit bigger. In Genesis 17, verse 6, it talks about many nations come from you, not of you, and kings shall come forth from you, okay? And I will establish my promises. It's promises over time. I will establish my promises between me and your descendants. And then in verse 8 or chapter 18:18, then it's got, in him all nations of the world will be blessed. The word blessed here means that we know that the word here, the word him, is going to be a king. In him all the races of the earth will be blessed. And that means that they will enter into heaven. We don't know that, we know that the word blessed means our Creator will take care of you. But as his promises continue, we know that Jesus is going to become a king, and then all the nations will be blessed by him because he's going to be the king in heaven for everybody. So that starts way back at Abraham for me to say that for many races. Okay, just for you to understand, that's been the very beginning promise that our Creator is going to allow all those high moral righteous people obedient and obeying our Creator to their fullest will enter into heaven. Okay? And yes, I know there's others that are going to get in by mercy and compassion, and I understand why. But to make my point, it's not just races. I mean, it means races around the world. And render his. And this is Jesus. Render his decisions for distant kingdoms. Okay. Come to the house for our Creator. And I'm going to put in his Hebrew name here. Now you're going to say, what is that word? Come on, don't be. This is the name they gave to Jesus, okay? And I'm going to show you that. And let me find that to be able to do that. Now, when I show you this Psalm 149, verse 1, this is the word Lord, and we know that they're using this name right here. Sing to the Lord, which is this name here to YV. Praise Yah and sing to YV a new song. It will be our new song. And what is that song going to be about? And praise him and his praise him in the congregation, and not godly ones. We're demeaning the word title God. Righteous ones. And let the sons of, not of Zion, but the descendants of Israel, rejoice in their king and praise his name. Who we praise and praise Yah. So in other words, they're supposed to wait for Jesus. Okay? And what if this is the king of Israel, not God of Israel? Well, let me show you this here verse. Isaiah 38, verse 11. When I take the word Lord and put Yah here, I will not see Yah in the land of the living. That means he was waiting for Jesus. Yah is the name they gave Jesus. Okay? So for Yah to teach us. This would be Jesus. And it's not about his way. So I can get rid of that. Teaches us. Oops, I see. I was cheating. I went down here and I seen that. I wanted to see what 4 verse I need or 3 verse. That we may, that we live by his I would like to put the word teaching here. I better save that. So what is path? His way for Yah to teach us. For us to live by his. I gotta see this. I think it's going to be ways. So let's see. Walk. Paths. By his way. I don't like the word way. And I'm going to put in teachings and say that I've completely added this. But I can't use the word way because Yah will teach us for us to live by his teachings. Period. Or from Jerusalem will be sent. Or from Jerusalem he will. He will send. He will send. For from Jerusalem he will go for. For from Jerusalem he will send. He will send I'm going to put the word out here for the simple fact that it's relating to why they went to the house and what he's teaching them to do, that when they're there, it's being sent out. The words from YV, which is his, which means this is about Jesus' kingdom in heaven for them. We already know we're at Jerusalem because they're up here. That's already been said. So do I have these two right now? Let me see how these two. And I've got to put it below here for right now, because I've learned that when I've put text like this in here, I got an 8-point. This macro that I made, even though I'm selecting it, it's supposed to only work on this. It doesn't. It works on everything else. Okay, let's see. Something happened. Let's run it again. That's good. Okay. Oops, go up one, get rid of that, come down, get rid of that, get rid of that, come down, get rid of that. For Yah to, oh, I gotta say that I added this. Well, I didn't really add it. For Yah to teach us, for us to live by his teachings. For from Jerusalem he will send out the words from YV, and he will judge among them for many races, and render his decisions for distant kingdoms. Now that is so cool that when you read this is going to go on the end of this text here. Go right there. And now we have these words. And that's, like I said, the text, if you want to get a screenshot of that, this is words here of this is going to be a prophecy from our Creator. Our Creator is going to say this. He said this. If you read Ezekiel, if you've read Isaiah, if you've read Jeremiah, you will see that all those prophets within those books all talk about Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. So this is going to be like words from Jeremiah that, like, they've already been sent, and he's telling the people here that he's still going to come to Jerusalem. See, this will come in their last days, which means that he's going to reestablish his house, and then Jesus is coming, and that'll be their last days, and this is what Jesus is going to do. So that first writer's writings are very beautiful when you see them. And there's so much within each of these paragraphs. And I trying to say that when I'm saying these words, that this is how truthful they must be and why they must be written this way. Because he's going to send out. I had trouble even remembering how to put the word out here, or put the word out here. Had to use the word teachings, just not his way. His way is his teaching, his gospel. I can't put the word gospel here. But That's pretty cool. Mm. I'm trying to, this is going to be just a small piece because I'm thinking, where's this going to go? And I don't see it. But I have to say, I'm going to go like, although. I need to add the word all here. Although the races although I'm going to change all to every. And then I don't need this word here. Every race lives by each by each name of their God. Every race lives by each name of their God. We live. So we're the we live we live by and I gotta use the word his here. By his name. Whoops, that's period. YV, our creator. For he is no, this is troubling to me, even though it seems simple. And he is forever. Is that's usually I like to just say he is. For he is forever. We live by his name. Wait a second. If this is talking about Jesus, if we live by his name, we live by his name, and YV, our creator, we live by his name, or YV is our creator, and he will be forever and ever. Okay. Now that's okay, but these are words from our creator. Oh, okay, now let me get that cleaned up here. And because this was Elohim, I'm going to put creator here. So better put it back in here. Every race lives by each name of their creator. We live by his name, for YV is our creator, and he will be forever and ever. It's almost like their savior, name of their savior, because that's who Jesus is, our savior. Just another title for him. Anyways, that's looking a little bit better. And I can't believe I'm still streaming. This is fine. Finally, I figured it out. Jeez. It's taken me a better part of a month, maybe a whole month, trying to figure out how to stream without getting disconnected. Because literally, man, that is so nice to finally happen. 3 hours so far, and I'm not kicked off. Actually, I can do 1080p on Twitch and on Kick, but YouTube, 1080p or no, 720p. And I've been struggling. I had to chop it down from like down to 24 frames. And now the bit rate is now chopped down to 35. So that means it's not going over 4. And it's finally happening. Man, what a game. And the day declares, in that day declares YV, I will assemble the lame and gather the outcasts, even those whom I've afflicted. This is wrong. Outcasts are those that were sent out of the kingdom for not obeying the 12 commandments. He set that up. There was a rule that if they didn't, they were either stoned or killed or sent out from the promised land. That's the understanding of the word outcast. Now, I know the Jewish Hebrew teachers will try to tell you that the outcasts are called Gentiles, meaning non-Jews. Well, I got news for you. This is what the word means right here, what I'm saying. And from whom I've afflicted. That is just not. So I'm not seeing that as true. I'll make the lame a remnant. No. And the outcast a strong nation. And why? And that our Creator speaks in third person. I will reign over them on Mount Zion from now and forever. Now, Mount Zion here, meaning in heaven. He'll reign over them from heaven. Over it's not in Mount Zion, but over Mount Zion. Mount Zion is the star's motion, creating this mountain effect that is the second heaven, and our Creator lives above the North Star. This mountain is also known as Mount Olympus by the Greeks. The Asian people know that what they call that point when they look down is called God's eye view. Okay, so just to let you know, Mount Zion in this, actually, you can only find that knowledge I just said in New American Standard, and that would have to be Psalms 48, verse 2. It's called In the Far North. In the far north is the North Star. As for you, Tower of the Flock, full of the daughter of Zion, to you will become even the former dominion, will come a kingdom. The daughter, boy, is that garbage even when you straighten it out. Why will you cry aloud? Is there no king among you? Or has your counselor perished? And agony has gripped you like a woman in childbirth, wither in labor to give birth, daughter of Zion, like women in childbirth, for you will go out of a city to live in the field, and go to Babylon. There where you will be rescued, and there YV will redeem you from the hand of your enemies. Now many nations have been assembled against you, who say to her, be polluted, and let our eyes gloat over Zion. Man, that doesn't connect with any of the story I've got going. It just doesn't. It just doesn't hook that way. And the day in that, this would be not there. This is wrong. Declares YV, I will assemble the lame. I will assemble the captives. And I'm just taking a stab at this because I don't think this is. Assemble the captives. This is not. He sent them out because he told them it was the contract. So oh man. Declares. He doesn't declare. YV prophesies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this word, first of all, and say I'm going to stick it over here. And then I'm going to say he prophesies. With that here in green, and this, that has to be yellow. That I moved it, or this has got to be yellow. That means I just moved it from here to here, and then I changed it. YV prophesied. Oops. He will assemble our captives, comma, with the remnant like Oops. Like a nation. Period. Wow. Okay. But we already know that's been said. I mean, you can't say that 6 times in by one prophet saying it over and over. It's just telling me right now I have a piece that's going to go someplace else. But the text here, it's there. But this is not a 4-verse format. Because it's not why they reign over them from Mount Zion, from now on forever. That would be untrue to be said there, because we have history on our side knowing that these are wrong. This is wrong here. Okay. This is just stupid wording. No, he has prophesied that Jesus was going to come. So but he's already said this just up here. I mean, that's what I just did here. So this is just somebody trying to add words that just don't have the correct meaning or format. And this, no. But they do not know the thoughts of YV, and they do not understand his purpose he gathered them. But like sheaves to the threshing floor. Now, the thing here is we know it's for Jesus to come. So, and they do not know the thoughts of YV. Yeah, they do. I mean, when he made himself known in Babylon through Nebuchadnezzar, when he woke up from eating grass, he actually set the calendar for all Babylon to our Creator's calendar, and that can be found by reading in between the lines in the 1611 preface that talks about how they were happy that they changed the name, or changed right here, that the first Roman emperor corrected the calendar and ordered the year according to the sun god Ra. That's why it's capitalized S. But what did he change it from? He changed it back to the pagan calendar that Nebuchadnezzar had already set up. So now they knew from that time that it was being reestablished because of his house and Jesus was coming. So this is just not true. Now, this is just nothing here. This is nothing. You don't have hooves. You don't have horn. So now what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to come up here Whoa. Oh, I didn't. Okay. This is what I got in 3. This is what I got out of chapter 2. This is what I got out of chapter 1. So if I bring this all down, where am I at? Right here. Bring that all down. Let me see if I can do this quicker. Go back up to 4. No, I cleaned that up, so that's this here. But I got to get that. And then down, 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 down. Here, and this was 4. I'm going to clean that up, and that's what it looks like. Bingo, that was pretty quick. Yet I know these are going to be prophecy, so this is all going to be different colored text, but I don't know where it's going to come from, because I know I thought I had 4 verse grouping there. Now that I've got that text right there, I need this text as the ending. Three, 4. What I need to do is look at right here. I want to make sure I didn't. 5. This is what I haven't cleaned up yet, right here. Don't want to leave anything out. So then this needs cleaning. And this has got to go in between, just because that's 4 verse. This is a 3 verse. And these two seem to group together, and this one starts, and then there's something missing. Maybe we'll find it next. But I think I'm going to call it end for today. But it was exciting to find out that I can actually stream for now more than 35 minutes. Damn, that took a whole month to figure that out. Oh. Man. Now I got to figure out if I can stream on 2 different platforms at this speed without getting disconnected. So that's going to be tomorrow's little trip. So, and if that don't work, I just post the video. So I'm going to call it a night, but you can see right here is what I've got. There's a lot of good stuff here, but getting closer, getting to the true truths of what was said and what was written by the first writers' formats, I'm overjoyed. So I will see you on the next video. And ta-da, howdy. Okay, have a good one.